Welcome to this edition of Business Video Today. I'm your host, Steve Onderhaar. Joining us this time, Nick Belletta, Chief Executive Officer of TalkPoint. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
So TalkPoint has been known in today's marketplace as one of the leading provider of event services. But as we're looking forward over the next 3 to 6 months, what are some of the top priorities in terms of your folks enabling better forms of business video communications?
Well, Steve, over the last year and a half, we've really focused on automation and scalability in our platform. We've completely moved to a software or services model. Previously, we were services as services where we had underlying technology, but it required a lot of production resources to overlay to actually deliver services to end clients. And we've really recently moved to a pure software as services model, taking some of the best of breed technology that we've developed over the last decade, creating basically a wizard that extracts the most used features and functions and made a really simple tool set for people to do self-service video and audio webcasting. And that's where we're focused on now.
So obviously software as a service is a huge area right now. Is it something that enterprises, how will they be using it? Will they be using it internally, externally? Does it have a specific application set where it particularly sings?
Well, what happens, initially we typically are used for external communications, where corporations in the enterprise are communicating with their various constituencies, and that can include their shareholders, their clients, distributed agents and sales forces. But over time, we find that our tool sets are a little bit easier to use than some of the homegrown things they've developed internally, or maybe some of the device-based products that they have behind the firewall, and we ultimately wind up getting both the external and internal communications.
So when you see people beginning to experiment with online video, what do they tend to embrace first, and then what do they expand to over time? Do they start internally, then go externally, or is it vice versa?
You know, I think the initial contact is for video will typically be internal and on demand, and then they tend to expand into external communications, but they like to do that live. And everything live ultimately has an on-demand component. So we see internal and on-demand as kind of the first entry point where people use video. But from a webcasting perspective, they usually start with audio and then they migrate to video. So there is a process people go through where they do audio webcasting first. When they enter the world of video, they will typically do it on demand and internally, and then ultimately migrate to external live distribution of video.
So what, in terms of looking at that evolution, where do we stand in terms of companies taking that step beyond audio webcasting and into videos? Are we still in an evangelization mode as an industry, or people coming to you looking for video at this point?
Absolutely, people come looking for us for video at this point. In many cases, we talk them out of it and have them start with audio because maybe they're not ready from an IT perspective, maybe they're not ready from a production perspective, and sometimes maybe they're not ready from a budgetary perspective. So we always try to position the technology that best suits the client, and then establish a long-term relationship, but ultimately migrate people to video. And we've seen an exponential increase in video distribution and consumption over the last 18 months. And part of it is because some of the tool sets that are out there, videos become easier to produce and easier to consume. And there's an expectation at senior management levels that they should be able to do it internally. Most folks have more powerful computers at home, and in some cases higher speed internet connections at their home office than they do in the office. So you have many senior executives in companies not understanding why their IT staffs can't keep up with what they're able to do on the home front. And it's a bigger challenge for IT staffs because they're populating tens of thousands of desktops in many cases and trying to do these massive upgrades. And we still have clients, Steve, that quite frankly still use IE6. So you can see how far they're behind. I think we're on IE11 or IE12 at this point. So IT staffs are really being challenged and pushed by their internal constituencies.
Well, best of luck to you and your team, Nick. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today on Business Video Today.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Business Video Today. Be sure to join us for future episodes of our interview series. And also be sure to join us in Miami, Florida, February 1st and February 3rd for the Business Video Expo, where business video thought leaders will join to exchange information and best practices related to the implementation of online video. For Business Video Today, I'm Steve Onderhaar. Thanks for your time.